That's what's happening in the real world right there. Russia striking the Ukrainian city of Sumi's city administration building in the middle of the day using Iranian Shahed drones, while Donald Trump is in Scotland to promote his own personal golf courses in Turnberry or in Aberdeen to enrich himself, as Donald Trump was caught on camera cheating while playing golf as his caddy dropped the golf ball so he can get a better score. The MeidasTouch research team was the group that was able to find that footage, as Donald Trump was spending the weekend further trying to cover up his dark past connections with Jeffrey Epstein. In the real world, America has never been weaker, and Russia and our enemies are trying to exploit that weakness. That's why I start these videos by pointing out what else is happening outside of the Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein cover-up stuff. Now, here's the beautiful coastal city of Odessa this past weekend under attack. You'll see the Shahed drone sent from Iran to Russia being knocked out of the sky by Ukraine and falling into the water. Here, play this clip. Now, folks, Ukraine is fighting back as well. Ukraine was able to get its drones into St. Petersburg without being hit by the Russian defenses. Here, play this clip. Now, while that was taking place, Donald Trump was driving around in a golf cart over the weekend, having his caddy help him cheat at his golf course in Turnberry. He was there to promote the opening of one of his new courses there. This is what the MeidasTouch research team was able to dig up. I'll do a whole other video of this in about 90 minutes, so check back on our YouTube feed in like less than 90 minutes. I'm going to show you Donald Trump's entire history of cheating on golf and using golf courses to bury his first wife and to spread 9/11 conspiracies, so you want to see that video. But here's Donald Trump approaching the ball. You'll see how his caddy just throws it on the ground. Like, this is what they do all the time. He's a cheater in everything. Here, play this clip. Now, as we posted on the MeidasTouch social media accounts, whatever the hell is in those Epstein files about Trump is so bad, he's called them a hoax, accused Obama of treason, shut down the Epstein investigation, recessed Congress to prevent a vote on releasing the files, and rushed his criminal attorney to prison to offer Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year sex trafficking sentence, an immunity deal, while MAGA Mike Johnson and others are like, I think she may be credible. I think she may be credible. Here's an image that I saw us post on the MeidasTouch account. On the left, you have Donald Trump playing golf. I will get to the bottom of the Epstein situation. On the right, you had O.J. Simpson. I will find out who the real killers are. Now, more images of Donald Trump, disgusting images are emerging, like this photo right here of Ivanka sitting on his lap in his bed, hugging him, giving him a kiss. This is a really gross photo we dug up on the MeidasTouch network of Donald Trump. The previous photo we showed you was of Donald Trump, Ivanka, Eric, Jeffrey Epstein, and one of their other very creepy model management friends who they would throw these, just despicable pageants with underage girls. Here's Donald Trump. He was sitting next to Ursula von der Leyen of the European Union Commission president, and Donald Trump was asked, hey, so you're saying that there's a deal with the EU right now for 15% tariffs on EU goods coming into the United States. Are you just announcing this to try to cover up for Epstein? Here, play this clip.
President, was part of the rush to get this deal done to knock the Jeffrey Epstein story out?
Oh, you got to be kidding with that. No, had nothing to do with it. Only you would think that. That had nothing to do with it.
Now, here's a footage of Donald Trump while he was golfing. He was asked by Sky News reporters why he was running away from the Epstein situation, and he literally runs away in his golf cart and starts blasting music. I guess that's his safe space. Here, play this clip.
Are you enjoying the Scottish hospitality?
There were Sky News questions, sure.
Mr. Trump, can you escape the Jeffrey Epstein crisis?
Maybe that's why we heard this.
What's that song?
I don't know, it's very famous though.
from a musical. Yeah. Memories.
Music boomed out from the convoy of golf carts, drowning out the surrounding sound.
Take a look at this graphic. Donald Trump would refer to all accomplished women as nasty. Hillary Clinton, he would say nasty woman. AOC, he says nasty woman. Kamala Harris, he calls her a nasty woman. Ghislaine Maxwell, though, Donald Trump wishes her well. By the way, did you see what Donald Trump looked like? Take a look at the photo of Donald Trump from yesterday and what he looked like. Totally disheveled, sickly looking, in fact. And he was in a very bad mood, the reporter said. You look like you're in a very bad mood, Donald. A few things I want to point out as well. The effective tariff rate by the United States against the rest of the world right now is about 18%. That means America is taxing itself 18% to import foreign products. And that's going to start again showing up on the inflation data like it already is. We see right now there are disputes, and I was one of the first people to report this, 5 days ago, and finally it's getting a lot more attention now because I read foreign newspapers. So I was sharing with you, 4 days ago, how Japan was saying there was no binding agreement with the United States. And so there is no binding trade deal between Japan and the United States. The terms are unclear what they are. Donald Trump claims that Japan is giving the United States $550 billion and the U.S. is going to take 90% of the profits from that investment. Japan says there's no such deal and there's no, it's just the normal investments that we made anyway. I mean, Japan invested $770 billion in the United States from 2018 to 2018 to 2023. They're one of the biggest direct foreign investments in the United States in general. Let me show you this poll as well from CNN SSRS. I think this is a big deal. Right now, as of July 2025, in terms of the percentage of a party that's extremely motivated to show up at the midterms, Democrats, 72% say they're extremely motivated, 50% of Republicans. And to me, that's one of the biggest stats that I think you need to focus on. In 2022, in the midterms, the Republicans were 48% and Democrats were 44%. And now it's just overwhelmingly in favor of Democrats. As part of this press conference with Ursula von der Leyen, EU president, EU Commission president, Donald Trump continued to whine about Iran wanting to enrich uranium. Hey, but Donald, didn't you tell us all that you obliterated the nuclear sites? So what do you have to even worry about? Oh, wait, you didn't obliterate Iran's nuclear sites. Iran is stronger than ever. They're giving more Shahed drones to Russia than ever before. Iran's still able to make a nuclear weapon. These strikes were a total failure because Donald Trump used his own instincts over the military is what it said. And here he is whining about Iran. Play this clip.
Iran was beaten up very badly for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon, but they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of something that's so bad and they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did you talk about more aid into Gaza?
Will I do more aid?
Did you talk to Netanyahu about
the U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza.
And here Donald Trump is when he's asked about the starvation and people suffering in Gaza. Donald Trump's response is that he should be thanked and that people need to be thanking Donald, and not enough people are thanking him, and he's upset. More people should be thanking him, he says. Here, play this clip.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Say it.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
What did she say?
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Well, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it, for food. And it's terrible. You really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. Nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. When I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else? But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can tell you that Hamas, as I said, would happen at the end. You know, we've gotten back a lot of hostages, a tremendous number of hostages, most of them. Now we have dead hostages, and the mothers want them back, and we have 20.
Thanking you for what? You said you would end the war in Gaza in 24 hours. You reached out to, there was Palestinians for Trump. I didn't even know why that existed. Muslims for Trump, even though there was a Muslim ban. And you've made the situation far worse in Gaza. You promised there would be peace in Ukraine in 24 hours. That didn't happen. There's a war between Thailand and Cambodia right now. There was a war between India and Pakistan after a terrorist attack against India. The world's a far less stable place right now, and you don't get credit for wars stopping that should never have started in the first place. And if you think you're going to be running away from your dark past, the number one trend across social media today was hashtag pedo president, hashtag Epstein Trump files. And while Donald Trump's out there just making a total buffoon of himself in the United States of America, cheating on golf, covering up the Epstein files, supporting people convicted of sex trafficking like Ghislaine Maxwell, as Donald Trump's out here with ICE in the United States disappearing Americans. I always like when Donald Trump's like, we've shut down the borders. 0 people are crossing. We deserve a medal. You know where there's also 0 border crossings, Donald? In North Korea, because people don't want to go there. People don't want to come into the United States right now. Vegas is absolutely getting shellacked. Vegas is getting destroyed. So Donald Trump went from destroying Atlantic City in the early 1990s, and now he came back to destroy Las Vegas. He's absolutely killing it right now in a bad way. And what? We're seeing many states that are suffering right now across the country. Our allies are basically figuring out ways to cut America out of any trade deals. And so they're kind of appeasing Donald Trump while working with each other to isolate the United States. The dollar's never been weaker before. But let me just share with you what actual leadership is. This is what Zelensky posted yesterday. I had a productive and substantive conversation with the president of France. We discussed Ukraine's key defense needs. First and foremost, strengthening our air defense. We need reliable protection against Russia and missile drones. We talked about the supply of additional missiles and systems, anti-drone and anti-missile systems. We also discussed at length the financing of Ukrainian drone production of all types. France is ready to help us with this. We will work together. We spoke about the training of Ukrainian pilots on Mirage jets. We highly appreciate that France will continue training, which will allow us to prepare even more pilots. I informed about the outcome of a third meeting with the Russian side in Istanbul. We managed to agree on a new prisoner exchange. We are awaiting our response to a proposal to hold a meeting at the highest level by the end of August. Representatives from Europe must be certainly present at this meeting. We had a detailed discussion about Ukraine's path to European integration. We agreed to work on finding solutions that will allow the first negotiation cluster to be opened as soon as possible. It is important that Ukraine and Moldova continue to move forward in sync. We also discussed the work of Ukraine's anti-corruption infrastructure, which is fully operational. The presidential bill guarantees the independence and effectiveness of anti-corruption bodies and prevents Russian influence on them. Thank you, France, for your support and willingness to help. That's what world leadership looks like, as what? Donald Trump is posting memes of former President Obama's face, placed on O.J. Simpson's face in the Ford Bronco car chase, and saying, "Oh, we're going after Obama. We're going to attack Obama for Russia, and Obama engaged in treason." Let me just leave you with this clip right here so you see how nefarious these MAGAs are, these MAGA Republicans. Here's MAGA Republican Mike Johnson. So the MAGAs are trying to rig the midterm elections by removing all Democrats from Texas, rather than do an emergency congressional or emergency legislative session in Texas to come up with emergency aid to build systems and help people from dying. What they're doing in Texas is they're going to try to get rid of all the Democratic congressional districts and try to gerrymander them unlawfully, believing that it'll take 4 years before the Supreme Court ever does anything about it, but just to try to help the MAGAs keep control of the House of Representatives. Just purely fascism, purely illegal. So the Democrats in other states are like, okay, well, if you're going to do it, we'll do it. But then MAGA Mike Johnson's like, nope, you're not going to be able to do it in California and New York because your constitutions require you to follow the law. But in Texas, they ain't going to follow the law. So that's what we're going to do. Just watch him say that. Here, play this clip.
Your life was so simple in the first term, but much simpler in the first term, less responsibility. Real quick, are you for the redistricting that the president's pushing for in Texas and Ohio? Because in response, the Democrats say, we're going to do it to you in New York and California.
California has a problem. They've got to amend their state constitution, as I understand the law out there, to do it. Look, we have to fight for every inch of ground in the country. We're in an era of small margins, as you said, because of gerrymandering and redistricting, but they have to follow the law. I'm convinced the red states will, and we will probably have a few more seats out of that. And of course, that's good news for me.
Absolutely. Speaker.
It's unadulterated fascism. It's Russia-style fascism. You have Donald Trump, felon, sexual predator, fraud, despicable, vile piece of trash that he is. And I'm not afraid to call him out like this, running a fascist regime, disappearing people off the streets in the United States, ripping apart families, while his little fascist stooge goons like MAGA Mike Johnson are like, yes, boss. Yes, boss. What do you want us to do, boss? You want us to cover up sex trafficking, boss? GOP guardians of pedos. GOP guardians of pedos. GOP guardians of pedos. That's who they are. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.